Right now at 6, as Memorial Day approaches, the community gathers to honor the legacy of a Tuskegee Airman with local ties.
And we have storms that continue through Memorial Day weekend. I'm going to have those details coming up.
Plus, 38 people from 17 countries took the oath of citizenship at the George Washington Carver National Monument.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
Friday morning, this May 23rd, starting off Memorial Day weekend. Maybe not the strongest fashion.
No, at least this morning is going to be nice, but this may be the last nice morning we're going to see for a couple of days. It is unfortunate, isn't it funny though, how all holiday weekends, somehow we always get rain chances, which is consistent. This weekend, we're going to start to see rain chances kicking off after noon today. Mostly isolated chances until this evening. Our threats contain mostly hail and wind, very low tornado risk tonight, but we could see a little bit of a higher chance as we head into Saturday. Now, as I mentioned, we also have a flooding risk across the board. Flood watch extends until Monday, 7 p.m. You can see we're going to have heavy chances of rainfall again all weekend long with other modes of severe weather possible. Now, through this morning, clouds, overcast, might see a couple of these showers try and make it into the area through the morning hours, but most of it is all going to hold off until later on this evening. You can see how heavier rain pushes into Kansas City area through the morning hours, but we stay dry mostly until later this afternoon. Now, we're going to go through a bit of a lull here. We've got some sun coming back out through early afternoon, but then thunderstorms kick back off around 3 to 3:30 p.m. And then widespread thunderstorms push in a little bit later in the evening after about 9 p.m. You can see how it pushes into the area. Now, we do have more severe storms continuing tonight until about 6 a.m. Tomorrow after 9 p.m. and then again even pushing into Sunday. But I'm going to have all those details coming up.
All right, we'll see you soon, Lindsay. Thanks. Well, with Memorial Day around the corner, we remember the men and women who served our country. The recent discovery of a World War II veteran and former Tuskegee Airman buried in Joplin brought multiple groups together to honor Dr. Harold E. Brazil yesterday evening. KOAM's Anthony Saviello was at the ceremony and has more.
One final salute as a flag is presented in honor of Tuskegee Airman Dr. Harold E. Brazil.
It will eventually go to the family, but we will hold it in honorarium for him until we can get that done. So we are just excited and pleased of the recognition that was bestowed on him today.
A ceremony bringing together those who may not have known Dr. Brazil personally, but who want to honor him and the legacy he left behind.
And that was amazing, especially our veterans. That, you know, while Memorial Day is always, you know, a sober thing, is also exciting to see them that they still, you know, have the love for our country as they serve, and they should get their pat on the back while we see them too. So.
The former alumni of Joplin's Lincoln High School rests next to his brother Paris and only a few feet away from his mother Lavina and father Paul. There is still more to learn about Dr. Brazil.
When you start doing this kind of research, you start trying to look into someone's life and you have documents, and then there are some gaps in documents and you can't find a piece that you're really searching for. You kind of have to reach out into the community. There's a lot of research yet to do, and there are a lot of people in the community who have stories about Harold Brazil that we'd love to hear and be able to help preserve those for future generations.
Brazil is one of only 9 Tuskegee Airmen from the state of Missouri. He remains a soldier gone, but not forgotten. In Joplin, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The Jasper County Cemetery Preservation Society plans to hold a ceremony for a Revolutionary War soldier next year.
Albini.
38 people celebrated becoming U.S. citizens yesterday in a ceremony at the George Washington Carver National Monument. New citizens hail from 17 different countries, including Mexico, the Philippines, and Ukraine. Choir students from Thomas Jefferson Independent Day School and ROTC students from Joplin helped with the ceremony. Following the swearing in, local organizations like the League of Women Voters helped attendees register to vote so they can soon put their citizenship to use. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Sky News app, A former firefighter is formally charged with involuntary manslaughter. A Jasper County judge issued an arrest warrant for this man, Brant Cullen, on the charge of involuntary manslaughter. The charge stems from an October 19th incident in Carl Junction, Missouri. According to court documents, Cullen recklessly caused the death of firefighter Tucker Berry by operating a golf cart at excessive speeds and swerving after consuming alcohol. Berry fell while standing on the back of the golf cart. Cullen turned himself in yesterday at the Jasper County Detention Center and was booked on the charge. Authorities released Cullen on bond. Now, this is a developing story, and you can find additional details on KOAMnewsnow.com as they become available. Well, the city of Baxter Springs has appointed a new police chief just 4 months after their most recent chief took office. Rick Comer was appointed to the position by the city on Tuesday. Jimmy Hamilton was named chief of police in January, officially replacing now Cherokee County Sheriff Brian Henderson. But now the city says Hamilton has voluntarily stepped down from the position. He has now served as assistant chief, and Comer is now serving as chief, previously working as a school resource officer for the department. The city of Baxter Springs has posted a job listing for the police chief position. Officials say it's procedure, and Comer will apply like everyone else. Well, Missouri American Water says bills for its customers will go up starting this month. The Missouri Public Service Commission approved a rate settlement for the utility provider's water and wastewater services. The company says the increase seeks to recover about $1.1 billion on system improvements. For an average metered residential water customer, the bill will go up about $9 per month. Now, for flat rate residential customers, it will go up about $12 per month, and the new rates will take effect on May 28th. And as the weather continues to warm, the Missouri Public Service Commission wants to remind consumers that Missouri's hot weather law will soon take effect. The law protects all residential customers from having their electric or natural gas service disconnected due to non-payment when those utilities are used as a source of cooling during temperatures above 95 degrees or a heat index above 105 degrees. Both Arkansas and Oklahoma have similar laws. Kansas does not have this law in place. For more information, head over to KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court split evenly yesterday in a high-profile challenge over the nation's first religious charter school. The High Court leaves in place a ruling from Oklahoma's top court that found the proposed Catholic school unconstitutional. The 4-4 split was made possible because conservative Judge Amy Coney Barrett recused herself. Now, she had ties to attorneys who represent the St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School. Evenly split decisions do not set precedent. Now, this will allow religious groups involved in the case to bring another case. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Officials are now considering the death penalty after 2 Israeli embassy employees were killed in Washington, D.C. And we're tracking rain chances for today. We'll have what to expect with Lindsay Gaffney in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Garvin Park in Joplin. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning, authorities are considering the death penalty for the suspect accused of murdering two young Israeli embassy employees in Washington Wednesday. Overnight, those who knew the couple and others touched by the senseless killings held vigils to honor two young lives cut down in their prime. Local D.C. and federal officials say there is no place for hate in this country, and they are committed to getting justice for the victims. Naomi Ruckham has more from New York.
Outside of the White House, mourners gathered to honor 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky and 26-year-old Sarah Lynn Milgram, two Israeli embassy staffers who were shot and killed Wednesday night in Washington. Police say the couple was targeted as they left an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum.
Anything that affects one Jew in the city affects all of us.
A vigil was also held in Kansas, where Milgram grew up.
Sarah was a real people's person. She enjoyed people. There's a void in the world right now because a beautiful smile is no longer with us.
The suspected shooter, Elias Rodriguez from Chicago, was arrested at the museum and is now being held in a D.C. jail. He faces 5 counts, including first-degree murder and murder of foreign officials. Federal agents searched his Chicago apartment yesterday. Interim U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says he's also being investigated for hate crime.
Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated, especially in the nation's capital.
Israel's ambassador to the U.S. says Lashinsky had just bought an engagement ring and was planning to propose to Milgram during a trip to Jerusalem next week.
We were worried about her going to Israel. The war getting ready to flare up again, but she was killed in D.C.
2 lives tragically cut short by the type of violence they had both worked towards ending. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
The suspect's next scheduled court date is June 18th. Also, the Capitol Jewish Museum is currently closed, though officials say they plan to reopen in the coming days. Well, still to come, a new study suggests that a child's weight may predict adult obesity and future health risks. Plus, Lindsay returns with another look at your Friday forecast. We'll be right back. At Boston Children's Hospital, Dr. Mike Taglienti is a physician, but to the kids he taught in elementary school, he's still just Mr. Tag. Now, 8 years later, he traveled halfway across the country to watch them graduate high school. Colton Chavez has the story.
Do you watch basketball?
A little bit.
You like Jason Tatum?
Yeah, he came to my hospital. I met him.
No way!
I did, yeah.
Before he was Dr. Mike Taglienti at Boston Children's Hospital.
Oh, I think this was, Jazz Lead! Where's Jazz Lead? Look what I found.
Sheridan Elementary knew him as Mr. Tag.
I had quite a few teachers believe in me. He probably believed in me the most, which is pretty cool.
Mr. Tag says a teacher always remembers their first class, and he carried those memories with him when he became a student once again.
From the very beginning, I always knew I was going to leave. I knew I was studying for medicine. I was going to leave to go to med school to be a doctor.
8 years later, Mr. Tag is back from Boston because of a promise he made to those first students.
I'm rooting for you guys, and when you guys graduate, I'll be back.
The students didn't forget Mr. Tag either, and all of the lessons he taught them.
I definitely kept it all, and I was looking through it. And one thing that I think is so fun to look back on is those videos we made. Do you guys remember doing that?
No, I watch this a lot, so I'm actually kind of used to it.
A connection that means the most to Mr. Tag.
You're just trying to see how could you hopefully impact them in a way that goes beyond that one grade.
Now he says he can't wait to see his first students over the finish line from 4th grade to high school graduation.
I want to be a child psychologist. Any dream is possible, but it takes hard work.
Mr. Tag's dream of watching his students succeed is about to come true.
It's a symbolic thing, right? Watching these kids leave the classroom is symbolic. Being here with all these kids on this turf field where we played recess every day is symbolic. And watching them cross the stage will be huge. Thanks, guys.
And that graduation happens this morning at 10 a.m. Now let's head over to Lindsay for a quick look at the forecast.
Well, we've got a flood watch in effect until 7 p.m. for nearly all of our counties due to the potential for heavy amounts of rain all weekend long. Now we've got mostly cloudy skies currently, watching some of these showers to see if they're going to make it into our area in the morning, but we're also going to see potential for storms coming in later on today. You can see downtown Joplin with those cloudy skies, but rain holding off until mid-afternoon. Well, we've got storms starting this afternoon and into the rest of the weekend. We've got a severe threat for storms tonight, only a slight risk you can see out in our central and our southwestern counties. This is going to be from 9 p.m. tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow. We've got a large hail risk, 70-mile-per-hour wind threat, and heavy rainfall, including a flood warning and watch until about Monday, 7 p.m. So we're going to see a flood risk all the way through Monday, Memorial Day. Now currently we've got overcast skies. We're watching some of these showers, see if they're going to make it into our area. But right now, most of them are dissipating. So we're going to see mostly cloudy skies through the morning, but rain holding off until the afternoon. You can see downtown Pittsburgh got those cloudy skies, but it is good visibility out there and pretty nice. You can see even in 7th and Rangeline, we've got a really nice sunrise going on out there. Of course, still some cloudy skies, but it is going to be a pretty nice morning so far. Temperature is starting off in the mid to lower 50s. And again, those cloudy skies, winds are light out of the southeast. And then as we head into this afternoon, going to start to see isolated chances for rain. The rest of us are going to be a bit cloudy and temperatures warming up to the mid 70s. So as we're heading through the morning, clouds start to continue to push in. We do go through a bit of a lull before we're going to start to see more isolated chances of storms popping up this afternoon. By about 3:30, you can see the isolated storm moving into southeastern Kansas, and then thunderstorm clusters moving in later in the afternoon around 9 to 10 p.m. The severe threat holds off until overnight. We're going to start to see clusters of thunderstorms around 3 a.m., but the strongest part of the storm, this is a squall line. We're going to see a potential bow echo, which you can see how it bows out there. And that means that there's going to be some significant winds pushing that storm up to 70, 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts, which can be just as damaging as any tornado. Now that's going to push through about 5:30, 6 in the morning. Pretty strong moving through southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, and into southwestern Missouri all the way through Arkansas. Now we go through another lull as we head through Saturday afternoon, and then by mid-afternoon to early evening, going to start to see thunderstorm chances popping back up. This is about 8:39. More thunderstorms moving in later in the evening and overnight hours. Now we have another slight risk for severe weather in the same area. That's going to be southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Missouri, though our slight risk extends a little further out to Missouri on Saturday. Now timing is about 3 p.m. to midnight, maybe even a little bit more into the overnight hours, with the same threats and an incredibly high flooding risk starting Saturday. Storms continue through Sunday as well. Most of us will see at least an inch of rain, but at most, in some isolated areas, 6.5 inches of rain. So flooding is going to be the main thought over the weekend, the main concern. We have storms Saturday night, heavy rainfall through Sunday, and even lingering into Monday morning as well. Now we finally see a bit of a break Tuesday and Wednesday, the Wednesday night and into Friday. Going to see more rain chances before a dry weekend next weekend. That's a look at your forecast. Let's go over to Elise with Health Watch.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, a child's body weight could indicate whether they will be at risk for obesity as an adult. A study by the ECHO program tracked children's body mass index and found about 10% of kids saw a rapid increase in their BMI from ages 3.5 to 9. And those kids were more likely to be obese as adults, increasing their risk of developing several serious health problems. And motorcycle helmet laws save lives. A study by the American College of Surgeons found in North Carolina, where helmets are mandatory, motorcycle riders experience less severe injuries and are less likely to go to the ICU than in South Carolina, where only riders under 21 have to wear helmets. And while less than half of riders in South Carolina wear helmets, more than 90% wear them in North Carolina. And people tend to trust those who grew up poor over people who grew up rich. A study by the American Psychological Association did an experiment where it gave participants profiles of fictional people and asked who they would trust more with money. Most people believed those who grew up with less money were more moral and trustworthy than people who had a privileged childhood. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, severe flooding forces a local animal shelter to evacuate again.
And we have storm chances starting tonight with flooding risks through the weekend. I'll have those details right after this.
Plus, a sculpture honoring Joplin tornado victims is getting a new home and a lasting place in the city's history.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
Friday morning here, and you mentioned it's going to be a nice morning. It looks beautiful outside. I'm looking at the sunrise this morning. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but it's not going to be there for long.
I know. It's a picture perfect morning. A nice little start to Memorial Day weekend. However, the rest of the weekend, unfortunately, is going to be rainy, and it's funny how it always works out like that.
I know.
Holidays, especially the ones that you spend outdoors.
Bit of a bummer.
Going to be rainy, dreary, just groggy all weekend long. So rain starts afternoon today. Isolated chances to start off, but heavy rainfall overnight and into early in the morning. So most likely around 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. we're going to have those really heavy chances of rain and thunderstorms. Now tonight we've got a very low risk for tornadoes, but hail and wind threat, pretty high risk. We've got a large hail threat and winds up to 70 miles per hour through today and tonight. Not to mention we also have a flooding risk. Flood watch until 7 p.m. on Monday. That does start tonight, but the flood risk continues all through the weekend. Now we've got these clouds pushing through right now and potential for a few of these showers to make it in. Isolated showers making it into the area through the morning hours, but most of us are going to stay dry. As you can see, more of the heavier rain stays to the north of us up in Kansas City. Now clouds do start to push out of here mid-morning into early afternoon. Going to start to see some of these isolated storms popping up through the area by about 3 p.m. Now after that, heavier rainfall starts to push in later in the evening after about 9 p.m. Heavy thunderstorms in our northern counties, but stronger storms coming in overnight and into Saturday morning. That's going to be our threat for severe weather today, mostly staying southwest, and then tomorrow got another risk for storms, not the morning ones, but the afternoon ones and evening ones. So we've got another round of storms coming in after about 8-9 p.m. on Saturday. That is going to be in our central and southern counties. Now Sunday, you can see we've got another chance for maybe a couple of isolated storms in the far south, but mainly by Sunday we're mostly switching over to a flooding threat. Now most of us are going to see about an inch of rain, but we could get up to, you can see out near Pineville, over 6 to 6.5 inches of rain, even some isolated areas potentially receiving even more. Now the big risk for storms is less about how much rain we're getting and more about the fact that we've already seen saturated soils and heavy rainfall last weekend already, and rivers and lakes are already at capacity. So we're going to definitely be dealing with flooding risks, especially with all of the traveling on the roads, and a lot of people want to spend it on the water. So we're going to keep an eye out for that, and I'll have more details right after this.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, for the second time in nearly a year, the Nevada Animal Shelter has been forced to evacuate after strong storms brought severe flooding to the facility. The facility was built just last year, and city leaders say the issue may be familiar, but the solution isn't. Now at the facility underwater, staff members say they need to find homes for every animal immediately.
It's quite a dramatic activity, actually, seeing 40 to 50 people inside the animal shelter with water up to their waist and higher, rescuing the animals. Some of the animals even started swimming themselves, head to dry land.
According to Edwards, no animals were hurt in the flooding. And now you can stay up to date with the latest news, weather, and sports with the KOAM Plus TV streaming app. It's available on Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV Plus, and Roku. The player is also available on our news and weather apps as well as our website. Watch live streaming anytime, absolutely free. The KOAM Plus TV streaming app. Well, tacos to commemorate the Big 6-0. The Joplin Ozark Center is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. Staff members yesterday evening decorated and manned a taco bar at the Jasper County Casa for Casa staff and kids. Now, it's one way to give back to a partner organization they've worked with for years.
So I'm on the board of CASA as well as being the CEO of Ozark Center. So CASA is near and dear to my heart. It was a really great event coming up for us in May. They always have lots of really great activities here for the kids. So they really like it when somebody from the community can come in and cook for the kids and serve them dinner at the same time.
Well, Jasper County CASA recruits and trains volunteers to advocate for children in foster care. And a sculpture honoring victims of the 2011 Joplin tornado will have a new permanent home. The Joplin Memorial Run sculpture, created by Active Lifestyle Events, will now reside at the Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Officials say the piece will continue to serve as a lasting tribute to those lost in the storm. And a piece of Carthage history is shining bright once again. Vision Carthage celebrates the completed restoration of the Municipal Park Memorial downtown with a ribbon cutting yesterday. The event took place at the corner of Lyon and 4th Street, where the mural sits on the side of the Flanagan Losley Moore building. Originally painted in 2006 by John Biggs, the mural features a scene of the old 1938 dance pavilion that now houses the Municipal Park roller rink. Local artist Cheryl Church took on the commission to restore the artwork. And now to look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. It's Friday, and of course that means Shannon Becker joins us with his big 3 stories of the week. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Garvin Park in Joplin. Welcome back. We have Shannon Becker in the studio with his big 3 news stories of the week. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Good.
Good, great.
Just ready to get my boat out, for the weekend.
It's about that time.
Not to go skiing, but flood. Anyway, just kidding.
Of course, exactly.
Lindsay's got all those details. Let's take a look at the storms we had this last week. It's a big 3 stories of the week, live and local. This is near 7th and Central City Road. A tree split by lightning. I don't know. Did you get to see this?
I
did. We had earlier this week. It was really interesting as it burned into the night and then kind of fell apart a little bit more, but it was glowing.
Look at that.
I've seen this before, but I've never got to see it up close like that. Carl Junction Fire Department came out. It was alone in a field, a huge wet field, so it was not a danger.
Fascinating, yes.
Did not.
Almost kind of pretty looking.
Yeah.
The glow, great.
Kind of ominous. You should have seen the online comments. Our number 2 story, also related to the weather. There wasn't a lot of damage, but one building at 7th and Kentucky on the northwest corner had the roof kind of peeled back.
Yes.
Yeah. It was one of those, it was a roof that they had put on top of another roof and another roof. So it was kind of, a little bit higher than it would have been normally the way it had been rebuilt. But they're redoing that roof now. Did not damage, the building is actually unoccupied. So there wasn't a lot of interior damage, but it's one of those shell buildings that's available for rent. Our number 1 story, KOAM News Now, live and local news. Everybody's been talking about this one.
I know, they certainly have.
I know.
There's a lot to talk about. Look at that.
Yesterday I got word that Chicago, they had it on their news up there.
Oh my goodness.
It was a Ford Expedition pulling a mobile home. I heard about it when I left the studio this last week from here. Got some pictures of it, and then I met up with them at the Casey's. I caught them and was catching some video.
Look at that car up in the air.
My
like
friend
that.
said, "Is it popping wheelies?" And I was like, "No, the weight of it. It only had 1 axle underneath it, so that means."
How's that even possible? How'd they even manage?
Yeah, well, it was pretty rough. Eventually, they made it about to. A little past, almost to 7th and Central City Road. They had about 4 more miles to go, and a record company agreed to come out. They did get 5 citations, which could be pricey. We're talking in the thousands of dollars for citations on something like this. You should get the permits, hire a reputable moving company, not your friend's Ford Expedition. Our bonus story of the week, it's Memorial Day. What's it about? Well, of course, it's remembering our veterans and those, of course, that we love. So this weekend, it will be Monday, a Monday morning at 10
Okay.
at Mount Hope Cemetery. Yesterday, the Easter Seals, they go out and they place the flags.
Right,
The adults with autism place all the flags for us. So it's really, really nice. They do about
Special.
1,200 flags there at Mount Hope Cemetery, and that will be kind of the unofficial, official Memorial Day service on Monday morning at 10. And we'll be there, and hopefully everybody else can too.
All right, wonderful. Well, as always, Shannon, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Happy to have you as always. Stick around. We'll be right back. Well, it's time to celebrate some birthdays and anniversaries this Friday morning to start off Memorial Day weekend. And we're going to start in Augusta with a happy 6th birthday to Bristol and Pitts. It said, Grandma's brown-eyed princess, we love you, all your friends and family. Happy birthday.
And hopping over to Columbus, Kansas, another 6th birthday, Kason McLean. Love Mimi, Poppy, and Keegan.
And also celebrating their 6th birthday, happy birthday to Haley Hickson and Gerard. It says here, happy birthday from Grammy, Grandpa, Dad, and Mason.
Now jumping up to Emma McCaff's 10th birthday out in Fort Scott, Kansas. The message says, happy birthday, love Mom, Dad, Mason, and Sutton.
And staying in Fort Scott with a happy birthday to Abel Chaplin, turning 15 today.
Now, Braxton Irish turning 19 today out in St. Paul, Kansas. Happy birthday, Braxton.
And happy birthday to Parker Volk, turning 20 in Alba.
Justice Day turning 20 as well out in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Happy birthday, Boo. Mama loves you so big.
And we have a twin birthday today in Pittsburgh. A happy 22nd birthday to both Rayleigh and Molly Harrell.
Now turning 23 today, Gabe Langford out in Carterville, Missouri. Happy birthday, Gabe.
And a happy 33rd birthday to Allison Bowles. It says, love from the whole family.
Happy birthday to Adam Honeshell, turning 40 today out in Carthage, Missouri.
And in Seneca, a happy 46th birthday to Lacey Skaggs. It says, happy birthday, we love you, Aspen, Tyler, Noah, Liv, Seb, Ava, Amory, Mom, and the rest of the family.
And jumping over to Miami, Oklahoma, Karen Olds turning 62 today. Message says, hope you have a wonderful day from Rick.
And a happy 66th birthday to Cheryl Ballou in Fort Scott.
Happy birthday to Paul Duncan, turning 72 out in Crestland, Kansas.
And in Badger, happy 79th birthday to Lovin' Lovell.
Now we've got an anniversary. Brittany Kinder and Mike Castle, their 2nd anniversary out in Webb City. Congratulations, you guys.
And here's a familiar face for you. Chris and Amber Warner are celebrating their 10th anniversary in Joplin today. It says happy anniversary, and we know who wears the pants in this family. We certainly do. Happy anniversary to you both.
And we've got a few more anniversaries. James and Tiffany Hudo, their 16th anniversary out in Columbus, Kansas. Congratulations.
And happy 21st anniversary to Steve and Letta Natalini in Scammon.
Bob and Sally Davis celebrating their 28th anniversary again out in Columbus. Happy anniversary.
And happy 44th anniversary to Rick and Laura Atkinson in Baxter Springs.
Jumping over to Riverton, Kansas. Happy 45th anniversary to Tony and Kevin Huron.
And a happy 45th anniversary in Golden City to Max and Donna Stratton.
Back to birthdays. Happy birthday to Alyssa Largent out in Parsons, Kansas.
And happy birthday to Shelly Hines.
Jennifer Sparks celebrating a birthday as well today.
And happy birthday to Amy Willems. It says, happy birthday, we love you, from your family.
Another anniversary, Cody and Rachel Brannon out in Columbus, Kansas.
And continuing the list over in Thayer with the happy 51st anniversary to David and Judy Bean.
Another anniversary, Mike and Pat Kudasek celebrating a 62nd anniversary on Cherokee, Kansas.
And happy 10th anniversary in Crestline to Walter and Heather York.
Finally, another birthday, Bonita Sully out there celebrating another year older.
And that was quite the birthdays and anniversary list today. Lots of anniversaries, great to see. Now, if you'd like to submit your birthday or anniversary to celebrate with us, you can do so by emailing birthdays@koamnewsnow.com. Be sure to include those wonderful photos and messages to meet the deadline at the bottom of your screen, and to also please include the date of your celebration as well. Here's Lindsay with the full forecast.
Well, we've got storms starting this afternoon. We've got a slight risk for severe weather in the area, mostly staying in our southwestern counties. Starting around 9 p.m., continuing into the overnight hours, about 6 to 7 a.m. Large hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but we also see a high flooding risk through the overnight hours and through the weekend. It extends until 7 p.m. on Monday for most of our counties. Now, through the morning hours, we're going to have a few clouds in the area, but most of the rain is holding off, and we've been watching a few of these showers try and push over into southeastern Kansas. Haven't quite made it yet, so we're looking dry, at least again, through most of the overnight or morning hours. Now, you can see downtown Pittsburgh, taking a look. Overcast skies. There is a bit of a sunrise going on out there. You can see better 7th and Range Line. A pretty nice morning outside of the overcast skies. It's just going to be really pretty through the morning and early afternoon hours. Temperatures are a little cooler in the mid to lower 50s. We've got a light breeze out of the southeast. As we head into the afternoon, temperatures warm up to the mid 70s, but then we're going to start to see those isolated shower and thunderstorm chances kicking off. Now, walking through the rest of the day, you can see how we've got those clouds clearing through the midday hours, but by 3, another isolated storm starting to push in. Later in the evening, clusters of thunderstorms pushing in, but after midnight is when that severe threat starts to make its way into the 4 states. You can see by 3 a.m., northern cities getting hit pretty hard with some strong thunderstorms. Now, we expect to see a line of storms moving in. It does bow out, which means that we're going to have a pretty strong wind threat with this, 70 to 75 mile per hour winds. Starts off in southeast Kansas, moves into northeast Oklahoma, does clip Joplin area and the rest of southwestern Missouri, Pineville, Seneca, and then moves out to Arkansas. And that's going to be until mostly around 4 a.m. to about 8 a.m. on Saturday. Go through another break in storms, and then you can see by 5:30 more thunderstorms start to push into our western counties. Now, again, a severe threat does hold off until but later in the evening around 9 to 10 p.m. Now, this is about 11:30. You can see mostly on the Kansas and Oklahoma side, some strong storms do push into the area. Those linger, though, through the early morning hours on Sunday. We do have another slight risk for storms, and again, mostly holding off to our central and southern counties, but you can see where that threat pushes in from Oklahoma. Now, we are expecting pretty heavy chances of rainfall through the entire weekend. It doesn't end until Monday. Most of us seeing at least 1.5 inches of rainfall, but some isolated areas, especially where we could see training storms, which would mostly be along and south of I-44 out in Oklahoma and far southeastern southeastern Kansas. That's where we're going to see the heaviest chances of rainfall, which we could get up to 6.5 inches of rain. Now, that flood risk is through the entire weekend. Temperatures remain in the lower 70s, and then we have finally a brief window before storms start to kick back off Wednesday night through next Friday, and we're in store for another dry weekend next weekend. Now, coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches on over to Fox 14, we'll learn about how the annual National Memorial Day concert honors those who paid the ultimate sacrifice while serving.
And here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The city of Baxter Springs has appointed Rick Comer as interim police chief just 4 months after Jimmy Hamilton took office. The city says Hamilton has voluntarily stepped down and will serve as assistant chief. The city of Baxter Springs has posted a job listing for the police chief position, and officials say it's procedure and Comer will apply like everyone else. And the U.S. Supreme Court split evenly in a high-profile challenge over the nation's first religious charter school. The High Court leaves in place a ruling from Oklahoma's top court that found the proposed Catholic school unconstitutional. Even split decisions do not set precedents. Now, this will allow religious groups involved in the case to bring another case. And Missouri American Water says bills for its customers will go up starting this month. The Missouri Public Service Commission approved a rate settlement for the utility provider's water and wastewater services. The company says the increase seeks to recover about $1.1 billion on system improvements. The new rates will take effect on May 28th. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Well, we've got storms starting today. You can see after about noon to 1 p.m. we're going to see a spike in rain chances. Definitely heavy rainfall across the board after about 10 p.m. Now, the threat for severe weather tonight, mostly large hail and high winds up to 70, 75 miles per hour. But we also have a flood watch. That starts tonight and is in effect until Monday at 7 p.m. We're going to see a potential for heavy rain accumulation all through the weekend.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. And coming up today at noon, we're making mac and cheese burgers in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, a Joplin nonprofit gets a big financial boost to contribute to its community efforts.
Plus, Shannon Becker joins us back in the studio with his big 3 news stories of the week.
Certainly will be great. Of course, with this weekend, the rain, hopefully it won't be that bad. I'm really hoping that it won't be that bad, but we'll just have to see.
I think the biggest concern is the flood risk, just due to all the travel,
right?
All the people that are wanting to celebrate Memorial Day weekend, maybe on rivers, on lakes. We're already at capacity for most river levels, so it's just definitely something you want to keep an eye on as you go through the weekend.
Absolutely, a turnaround, don't drown situation if you're out.
Absolutely. But that'll wrap it up for now. We'll see you back here Monday morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.